See about wildlife sciences in core paper 1 forest ecology and wildlife biology, and in unit 5, actually I am covering unit 5, and rest of them are covering rest of the units in this syllabus. And well, actually now only we are entering into the major portion of this wildlife forensics. Here we have studied about how to do insect population density and all, how to trap insect, what are the methodologies are available for counting the insects, spiders and all. And here today we are going to see about how to monitor the wildlife in a given particular area. Like actually, most of the wildlife studies are carried out to record presence or absence of certain species in a particular area, isn't it? The wildlife census, which was employed to record the presence and absence of the species in a certain area, and also it is used for to prepare distribution list of a particular species. Actually, most of us we are familiar. Actually, we are very much interested to study all the species, and some of them are very keenly observing particular species to study. That is their interest only. So for that case, no, we have to know actually instead of recording the species, we should know about the population of the species. And for population monitoring, we need to, yeah, population monitoring, we need to employ some of the transects to study the population of the particular species. And also, the census method will help us to prepare a checklist of flora and fauna. And also, despite being simple, and there are some drawbacks also is there. Species is prepared such a way, like without we have to get we have to we frequently we have to go to field. Then only we can able to identify species. Sometimes we may miss out the species because in Handbook of Indian Birds and means especially the Birds of Indian Subcontinent handbook also the color may varies and the plumage colors and some of the color may varies when we are looking at no in wild, and sometimes it is confusing also, and for that case we have to get help from some of our senior people, those who are very much familiar in recording all the species, and especially butterfly and all, it is very difficult to identify and record. So, and these studies just record the presence and absence of flora and fauna in the area and do not assess their distribution. And estimating the population size and density of flora and fauna is one of the fundamental aspects to understand the status, demography of the species. Actually, estimating population gives us what are the things we have to get. We will get from the population from the transect no, by laying the transect line mean. We used to get density of flora and fauna in a particular area, and also it is one of the fundamental aspects to understand the status demography of a species. And in disease, in turn, it is essential is designing appropriate management and conservation strategies. And these, no, the census method helps us to prepare a management plan for, senior people means higher authorities and managers. And so wildlife studies often demand for considerable investment of time and other resources such as money, equipment, labor, etc. Actually, we have to spend a lot of time in field only, in forest field. Forest means we have to spend a lot of time to in forest, then only we can able to understand the, first we have to study the basic, first we have to explore the landscape, then we have to prepare for our plan for how we are going to do all those kind of transactions and all. And the important thing is that money is very, very important to do all the sort of things. And equipment also it is very, very essential, and labor also it is very, very essential. And therefore, it is very important that the wildlife studies are properly designed with a set of study objectives. And these things mainly important. Without funding, it is very difficult to do our duty in forest because all we have no family background, isn't it? So for that case, at least we have to get some money for that case. So yeah, and objectives of census. What is the objectives which we are going to see is that the abundance of any species does not necessarily mean any absolute number. Rather, often the abundance is expressed as an estimated value. And so this value then compared to determine the trends of the population fluctuation in order to find whether the population is increasing or decreasing or stable. And census method only tells us all these parameters. So whether the population is increasing or stable or decreasing and all, without doing census, which is very difficult to predict all these kind of things. So indices of population change with time. Thus enable the wildlife researcher to compare between areas, seasons, and treatment. And similarly, to find out the effectiveness of certain management practices, abundance is measured before and after the management intervention. And next one is, what are the importance are considered? Like in practice, no population survey or census is completely biased. This is true, isn't it? And we also miss out some of the things while doing our census and all. And also it is very difficult to say exact number of the population in a particular area or a given area, and we can predict the population exactly. It is very difficult to tell the accurate number of species. It is very difficult. So that's why the population survey census completely biased, and there was selection of appropriate technique largely depends on the like habitat and season and the study being carried out. Finally, before initiating any wildlife study, it is to be carefully considered that how much resource like money and manpower are going to be utilized. And also some of the several alternative techniques also available to achieve a particular research goal. Hence, adequate background information is necessary to select the appropriate technique for a particular wildlife research. For this case, pre-visit we have to do all the study areas. Without doing pre-visit, it is very difficult to say the particular species is found in this particular area or not. And literature survey is very, very important for before going to do census and all. Literature survey is very, very important, and then only we can able to know that whether this particular species is present earlier. That is means historical information of the particular species mainly to be carried out by collecting literature reviews and all. So, yeah, that is called adequate background information. And also in field, we have to, whenever we are visiting the field in a particular area, we have to go with some sort of questionnaire survey and all we have to do with forest, means forest field workers and locals and all to get information about the particular species. Okay. And I list this is another prerequisite for licenses, and exactly without permission, the forest authorities never allow us to go inside in protected area or whatever it may be. And if you are doing any garbage dump survey also in the city also, there is a mandatory to get a permission from the local authorities. We have to get a permission from the forest department, municipal office also. And yeah, it is very, very mandatory. So covering letter seeking permission from the appropriate authorities or landowners, and map or proposits of the area with the boundaries and topographic features, And actually, some of the researchers, what they will do is they may be working under some scientists or researchers. They will go as it is. When like whatever the direction will give the scientists, they will follow the same. So they never keep these things with them because no, not knowing. Actually, most of the people are not knowing. They are very means very first new to this field, and actually at least the managers or researcher or scientists they should give them proper map proposals of the area with the boundaries and topographic features where means where the researcher can easily should understand about the landscape of the particular area and boundaries, and also climate, geological and vegetation features of the study area. And also it is important to know that the climate factor of the particular area, actually local climate, we know what are the climates which we are facing in. And about this climate, if you are going, actually some are going to do your research in Himalayas and all, it's very difficult to know about the climates of the landscape. And period to go to that landscape, it is important to know the climatical factors of the particular area and geological and vegetation features of the study area and all. And also it is very, very important identification manual of the focal species. A manual should be carried out with them. Without keeping manual, it is difficult to get information of the such species. Here, actually sometimes we may lost our no our battery may exhaust sometimes in field. For that case, this identification manual helps us to find out the particular species. And also those are temporary only, no, whatever we are digitalized nowadays, and it is useful for certain time only. It will exhaust sometimes. It is very difficult to no someone are admitting in between. Yeah, and very difficult to get information means from the digitalized world, because if we'll carry the engine vision manual, it is quite and good. Actually, our eyes only the camera. Best camera is that our eyes only, not DSLR and all. Okay, and detailed and clear instruction for the field worker regarding collection of data. And we have to give very clear picture about the instruction means about field regarding how to collect the data, how to enter the data and all. And once if you collect that data which may not available in next day, actually no yeah, today's information is no actually today's information is actually yeah, history. Actually, these and all history only. Detailed and clear instruction for the field worker regarding collection of the data should be given to them. And it is important to learn about the study site and the target species. Very, very clear. We should be very, very clear. Is that this to learn about the target species. And no, with most wildlife studies, it's often very wise to initially carry out a brief wildlife surveys when different tools and techniques and methods are alternatively tried out. Finally, most appropriate one is selected through trial and error basis. Actually, research means what? Someone you can say research means what? Actually, most of the works are carried out by someone else or somewhere in India or abroad or whatever maybe. Research means re plus search. That is research. We are not doing any new research. We are research. So for that case, some people might be carried out their pilot surveys in too many years before, the decades before, and all. Actually, it is very good to know that how they are done their studies and all, and what are the methods which are being used during the time and all. It is very, very important. And it is to be noted that once a method is selected, it should be carried out for the entire study period with same survey in order to obtain results. And when you will select a method, and also it is carried out for entire study period. The same method. You should not change the method. If you change the method, you should you do all side of your the statistical tools and all available, and by with the help of statistical tool, you can you can get a idea whether you are getting right information, and all it will gives you a clear picture. So you should not change in between your study, means study method. So the entire study period you should carry the same methodology in order to obtain results. And also species those require management intervention internationally and locally endangered species, species of local and international importance, species of high economic importance, important prey species in a particular ecosystem having tourist attraction are usually selected for census. And we are given the importance for all these species only nowadays. We are not giving importance for common species. Some of the people are very, very keen to know the endangered species data, and actually means charismatic species only we are looking, and we are not keen about the local species are available. It may go into extinct some time, and all the species are in verge of extinction only. So due to climatic change and the various anthropogenic pressures and all. So proper timing for any kind of animal studies another very crucial aspects, where the visibility of habitat varies with season, isn't it? The timing is very, very important, and kind of animal study in another very crucial aspect of habitat may change. Actually, if the forest is dry deciduous forest, means actually we have different kinds of forest types in India. So we should know the habitat, and phenology means phenology of the forest habitat. Then only we can able to understand uh, the forest types in India. So it is timing for any kind of animal studies another, and visibility of the habitat varies with the season. Therefore, timing census or survey largely depends on the objectives of the study and type of census being yeah, type of census being undertaken. And important means, for example, waterfowl census often performed in dry season, and breeding bird census is usually done in spring, while census of migratory bird is done in winter. And it is noted that census should be never be carried out in area during tourist season, fire, timber work, and all. As a result, might be erroneous. Actually, these are the methods which we always used to follow. The waterfall obviously we used to carry out. Some of you people are doing it, and most of majority of the people who join in this diploma course, they are not knowing about all this kind of things. So they should know, they should understand and know about the waterfall census. Will be performed during dry season only, where animals used to come to the waterfall. The photographers mainly they choose the summer month only for recording. And census also carried out during dry season waterfall. And breeding bird census always done usually done in spring, while census of migratory bird done in winter season. Because during the winter only we are getting most of the migratory birds from the across the globe. Actually, it is to be noted that census is never carried out. Like tourist season, prior timber or kanda, so the result might be an erroneous. And most important criteria to obtain authentic and reliable data are largely dependent on the sincerity, patience, and honesty of the observer. Actually, as a being a field worker, we should follow all these things. We should not tell lies and all. And sincerity is very, very important, and patience, and we have to sit in a place for a longer period to observe the birds and all. Actually, I used to sit in cafe breeding program. I used to go morning 6 a.m. still night, no 10 p.m. Up to 10 p.m. I will sit in a place to monitor the captive breeding program vultures and even wild vultures also. And patience is very very important, and honesty also very very important for the observer. With the trained and a dependable staff is my prime request for any wildlife study, and a trained staff should be there always with the researcher to give some of the uh, trained staff should be always advise the researchers for study and all. And now only we are entering into the transit method. And surveys using transit method are fairly common in published literature, can be conducted from the ground. And it generally involves traversing a specified route along the road and trails. And transits are usually set up along the environmental gradient, like along the slope of hill side, outward from the source of pollution, etc. And each transit considered a simple sample unit. And like the summarized data from several transits are required for statistical analysis to compare difference between years or sites. Actually, statistics also very very important tool to know the data of our data. So transits are randomly located, often within stratified sub-areas of the total area, to obtain representative samples of the species and number of each species present. And actually, the transits may be broadly categorized as line transit and strip transit, and point counts and all are there. Next class we will see that also. And line transit means transit with fixed length but zero width. But strip transit, belt transit means transit with fixed length and width. Actually, in line transit method, there is no width, but in strip transit or belt transit, we have fixed length and width. And now we are going to see line transit. This line transit method, a measured line is placed across an area, and the observer counts while traveling along a fixed transit line instead of means searching over entire plot. Actually, it is mostly the line transit 2 kilometers only line, mostly in the forest habitat. All the type of forest habitat we can lay this line transit. And a researcher walk along a predetermined route at regular interval to record the objects on near the line. And study design, we have to before going to lay the line transit, we have to design our study, whether we are going to place either in random or stratified or systematic manner based on the research goal and objectives of the study. And also habitat type also look for. Applicable in almost all habitats such as open habitat, forest, plain lands as well as hilly terrain and all. And some of the placements also is important. And transits are laid on selected habitats, usually in straight line, often placed along roads, streams, and along counter of hill terrains. And also transits should be well spaced out. Distance between two parallel transits should not less than 200 meters. Okay. The permanent, actually, we may choose permanent transit line also, temporary transit line also. Mostly permanent transit line, which will be followed by our forest staffs to count the cat species. And this also depends on the objectives of our study area. And permanent line transit are monitored around the year. And like both permanent and temporary lines should be marked on the field, and they may always recorded as tracks on GPS. And the GPS point also is very very important to know about the transits. And in future, some people may be new people may be going to the field uh, to get all the information. For them, it is very very important to get a GPS locations of the particular transit. And also transect length, depending on the habitat and focal species of study. And it may be focal, your focal species may be single or several species in community. And based on that, we have to select the habitat. And this is this picture depicting the line transect method. And the species touching the line is either recorded along the entire length of the line, that is continuous sampling, or at a specific point situated along the line, which is called systematic sampling. There are certain merits and limitations also there in this line transect method. And merits are no, more economic, requires less technology and practical methods, and it is efficient but simple, and at the same time it is inexpensive and applicable throughout the year for all the habitat types. Larger area may be covered in relatively short time. And also this transit line, it is user friendly, particularly for monitoring purpose and greater turnover of species. And there are some limitations also there. Distance often measured correctly. Movement of the observer may cause disturbance. For that case, we have to silently move in the transit line, and skulking trips and shy animals may be missed. So we have to be very cautious of these kind of things. Next one is belt transit method or stripe transit method, strip transit method. Yeah, this belt transit method also, it is similar to that of line transit only. And the sampling area is wider than a line, and the counts are limited to objects within a fixed distance of the transit line. As a defined distance from the line is measured, thus the sample plot becomes a rectangular stripe extending a specified distance on either side of the transit line. This such rectangular shaped plots are called belt transects or strip transects. And in this method, sample can be taken all the way along the line at specific intervals or even randomly also. And also, the strip transects are one of the most commonly used survey techniques for determining species composition and density. And also, strip transit can be can be conducted by observer on the ground in boats or in aircraft. This method is usually adopted for variety of species and habitats where the density estimates are desired, like aerial and boat-based strip transit methodology have been specifically developed for conspicuous aquatic species, and these techniques have become the preferred survey method in large open water habitat. Particularly, we can use this method for counting waterfalls in wetlands. The aerial strip transit can be established to assess the distribution and abundance of the waterfall over the broad geographic area. The density from the strip transit plot can be extrapolated over the study area to obtain abundance estimation. And also, there are some factors must be considered before trip transit methodology is adopted. And also we have to choose appropriate strip transit, which is very, very important of density estimation are desirable. In practice, often a compromise is noticed between maximizing detection probability for the target species and surveying as large an area as possible. Intuitively, detection probability like width of the transit increases for large conspicuous species more open habitats. Moreover, it is assumed that all the animals within the class are detected while calculation of the density species from the belt transits. And the observer does not usually leave the transit line to search the plot. Rather, visual aids like binocular are commonly used during the ground and boat-based strip transit survey to aid the detection and species identification. Strip transits are therefore best conducted in open habitats where visibility is unobstructed. And also determining transit length. For this case, we have to use species discovery curve. Is commonly used to method to determine the optimum length of the transit. This curve is generated by geographically plotting the number of species discovered with increasing transit length. amidst such a different length of transect. The minimum transect length is determined by the point from where the curve starts flattening. Like there are some merits and limitations also there. Actually, this is the piece discovery curve. When we plot, no, this curves may gives some means we will get to some idea and what is the length of the transect and all. This is cumulative in x-axis and y-axis, and we have cumulative number of species and transect length. Where the curve will know plots as it is, that will be considered as a transect length, particular area. Yeah, merits. There are some merits also there. This no assess the total number of different species present in the study area and useful in comparing the species richness between different sites. And there are limitations also. Does not assess abundance of individual species within the study area and requires careful analysis of data. And these are the merits and demerits of the trip transect or belt transect method. And we, yeah, these are the information about line transect and trip transect method. If no, if the area is highly undulating, what transect method you will use? Am I audible?
Sir, once again, sir, question, please.
Yeah, if the area is highly undulating habitat, if you want to do any surveys in highly undulated area, what method you will choose?
Line transit method.
Line transit method will be used for all the habitats. Yeah, this can be also used. Line transit method also used for counting the birds. If particularly if raptors, if you want to estimate the number of raptors in a particular
Raptor.
area,
Hmm.
and what method you will use to count.
Bell transit
Sir,
method,
it's the
sir.
point count method.
Yeah, point four method also.
Point.
Yeah,
Okay.
vantage actually for that case you would have use one vantage point survey method. Vantage. You have to select the highest place in a particular area. You have to go there to monitor all the raptor species. Yeah. And wait, I will post the attendance link, today's attendance link. Sweta, after a long time you joined.
Hi, sir.
Hi, how are you?
I'm fine, sir. How are you, sir?
I am good.
I'm really sorry,
Ah,
sir. I was like
no,
very busy. I'm in I don't have a network and place where
okay,
I'm working right now. I'm in
okay,
Amrabad Tiger Forest, so
okay, okay,
working with something. So I'm inside the forest. Most of the time, I don't have signal. That's the reason I'm unable to, you know,
okay,
attend my classes. I missed all of it.
okay. Okay.
So how things are, sir?
Things are going good, Sweta.
That's nice, sir. So we are going for a trip on January or February, sir? Field
February
trip.
12 and 13.
12th and 13th January.
Yeah.
And
No,
this month,
February.
12th February. Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
this month, 21st, we'll have exam, no? Right, sir?
No, no, we don't have exam actually.
Uh-huh.
That is for another diploma we are running at
That's what,
our
because when I
department.
read, our
No,
course
I
was
don't.
not in that.
Yeah, actually
Uh-huh.
ours is annual pattern.
Okay.
Yeah, annual pattern for that case, you will appear on no,
Uh-huh.
March, April.
Okay, okay. That's
Yeah.
what I was really a little scared. I didn't attend some classes. I was thinking, I don't know how I'm going to pass my exam.
Okay. Okay.
Thanks, sir. Try to brush up and study a little more.
Yeah. I posted this link
Okay, sir.
for your attendance. Everyone should
Okay,
know.
sure.
Uh, fill the form. Yeah.
Sure, sir. Thank you so much,
Yeah,
sir.
yeah.
It was really
Thank
helpful
you,
and
Sunita. Yeah,
yeah, thank you, sir. Take care, sir.
thank, thank you. If anybody have any question, you can ask me, or else you can leave. Yeah,
Sir, can
and
we
I
get
will
the
request.
PPT
I
of
would.
this, sir? Can we get the PPT of this?
Yeah, yeah. I will share. Yeah.
Okay, sir. I think I
Thank
missed
you, sir.
only one class, sir, before. I think
Yeah,
that's the
yeah,
only
yeah. I'm wondering where you went. No. Yeah,
that's the only problem. I'm out of network area.
yeah. Okay, okay. Avisi, you
He's
joined?
doing good, sir.
Okay, okay, good.
Even he's with me. So we both are, in the
Attending.
place.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
but, but this is a nice experience, sir. This is really good. I'm like doing survey on
Okay.
other wild animals and I'm collecting a lot of data and making a
Yeah.
program for the locals.
Good, good.
Yeah.
Yeah, you are a lucky person. That means you are always in field.
Yes, sir. Now I got posted in Amrabad Tiger Reserve, sir, as educational officer and personal relation officer. I'm
Okay,
joining there.
congratulations. Use a
Thank
new.
you, sir. Yeah, it's
Okay,
a promotion from me from Zoo Park to this
okay.
place.
Yeah, you have to be very cautious in field.
Yes, sir. That's the only problem. I don't get scared at all. I just walk into the jungles. My
Okay,
people say, "Madam, be careful. There'll be a lot of sloth bears." I said, "Yes, yes." I'm
okay,
watching. I'm trying to hear them. So most
okay,
of the time I'm inside. So whenever I come out and I'm missing my classes today, I made a point to come out to attend
okay,
the class. But even when I came to some point, there was network and it got disconnected. So I came little
okay,
further to attend the class.
okay. Good.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sweta. Yeah, convey my regards to your.
Sure, sir. I will.
Yeah,
I will, sir.
Chaturved, you are visible here.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much for a wonderful session. Hello.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Actually,
Sir,
everyone, thank you, Kodiswaran.
Yeah.
Yes, Raju.
thank you, sir. Excuse me, sir. Sir, this is Shravan.
Yes,
Sir,
yes.
can you turn back to the last one slide, sir? Last but one.
Last, this one.
Yeah, the curve one, sir. Sir.
Okay.
Okay. So, sir, can you brief it again?
Actually, this is that explanation for the curve,
Sir.
and we have to determine the optimum length of the transit. For determination of the length, we use the species discovery curve. Okay,
Sir.
and after getting all information, you have to enter into the data sheet, actually in the Excel sheet. When
Sir.
you will Excel and get a graph of the particular transit, you will get this curve. Okay,
Sir.
and this curve where the curve start flattens. Okay,
Sir.
flattens like no this curve where it will flattens, then you will get no transit length is determined by the point from where the length of the transit you will get.
Sir.
Okay, that
Okay,
means
sir.
you covered 500 meters in the particular transit.
Okay.
Okay, and
So,
line transit, yeah, line transit only we have limit, transit limit.
okay, sir.
Yeah,
So that means
six.
transit length determination will happen after the field work.
Yeah, 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 yeah. How you
Okay.
covered, how much
It's
you
not
covered
like
the length. Yeah,
okay. So it's not the fixed length kind of like according to the study area, we'll fix the length of the transect and then do surveys.
Yeah, that is
If
line
it is like
transect.
1 kilometer,
Yeah,
uh,
that fixed length we will do in line transect only, because most of the people they will select 2 kilometer length of the transect
yes,
for
sir.
surveying. Okay, for this case, this is no like rectangular type of survey method. You see, the landscape looks like this. You
Sir.
have to choose randomly selected transects, like rectangular type of transect line, where you
Yes,
will
sir.
get all the population status of the particular animal species within the landscape.
So can you just
Okay.
tell me
Okay.
what
This is
exactly
for
this sort of? I'm so sorry.
Yeah,
yeah.
I think you didn't complete. Yeah, you go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah. So this particular type of determination of transect length is for the belt transect method, not
yeah,
for the
belt.
line transect method.
No, not line transect method. This is
Oh,
belt
okay.
transect method.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Shweta, go ahead. Yes.
Yeah, I think that's the only the belt transact is the one which doesn't have a limited area. So we just go by the triangular thing and we do the survey according to that. Am I correct, sir?
Yeah, 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 that's true.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I
But
just wanted. Was
landscape,
about to ask the same thing.
this is for no known landscape means.
Yeah.
Yeah, the landscape limit also is there in this survey.
Okay. So this
Actually,
is
if
for
it is a
the.
waterfall means there is
Uh-huh.
a limitation, no?
Yeah.
Yeah. For that
Yes,
case,
sir.
it is very easy to count all the birds in the particular area.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay.
Sir, for water bodies, will it be like a point count method?
No, actually, point cloud method also vantage, and actually there are a number of methodologies are available, but we have to choose what we are interested in. Actually,
True,
if you are
sir.
interested in waterfowl, you can go for this survey method because it will give you a clear picture of the population density of the particular species.
हाँ 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 आप जल्दी
Yes,
आ
sir.
जाइए
Yes,
एक
sir.
बजे तक आ जाइए
Yeah.
डिनर हाँ
And
आज
if you are
8 बजे
very actually
हाँ
species
एक
vantage point
डिनर
survey also you
आज
can
कर
do,
लेना
but without disturbing you can do vantage point survey. And also aerial
Yes, sir.
survey they mentioned. By doing aerial survey you can count all the species, but it is quite disturbing. If you go by boat also it will disturb them, and if you do aerial survey also it will disturb them. Better you choose vantage point survey for estimating the waterfalls.
Okay, sir. Okay. Yes.
And also it
Thank you,
depends
sir.
on species and the area, sir. Sometimes
Yeah,
terrain also matters. And what is
yeah,
the target species also matters.
yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
sir these all things are mentioned in the slideshow right sir
Pardon?
so these all the new techniques of doing the survey is mentioned in the slide that you're going to share with me
Yeah, 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 yeah.
yeah okay sir sure I'll go through that